What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and hopefully you're doing well. And in today's video, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail, we are talking about a topic that's kind of weird, and it's something called mouth taping, or basically the practice of taping your mouth shut when you go to sleep. This is something that I've been doing for close to a year, sort of on and off at this point. And I wanted to dive deeper into this topic of why I do this, what's the rationale behind it, and ultimately, is it a good idea and is it really worth it? Where did I first come across this idea? I actually saw it in an interview with another YouTube channel called High Intensity Health. He has some really great resources about health and wellness over there. And I saw an interview between him and Dr. Mark Burhenne where they went deeper into this whole topic of mouth taping. And that was where I first came across this topic. And I was really intrigued by it, and I've never heard anybody talk about it before. I've always been a pretty open-minded person, and the things they were talking about made a lot of sense. So I decided to give it a try. Before we go any further, I just want to say everything that we're talking about here in this video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. None of this should be construed as medical advice. And I want to encourage you to actually talk with a professional before making any type of lifestyle decisions. I'm clearly not a professional. I'm just a dude rocking an Adidas hoodie in his apartment. Take this information for what it is. All right, so what's the rationale, or why would somebody want to tape their mouth shut when they're going to sleep? The short answer is part of the population, when they go to sleep, they have trouble breathing. If somebody is sleeping and they naturally breathe through their mouth, they're going to temporarily stop breathing, and then your body will gasp for air, and then you'll continue on breathing. But this is all occurring when you're sleeping, and you're not actually aware of it. And this is a big problem because it interrupts the quality of our sleep. You know, the whole goal of going to sleep is for our body to repair itself, for our brain to kind of reset and get out all the toxins, also for the rest of our body to physically repair itself throughout the night. And that's why getting quality sleep is extremely important. If our sleep is being interrupted every couple minutes because we're temporarily suffocating, then we're not going to get the good benefits out of sleep that we need. And then that's going to negatively pour into the rest of our day, right? Because then we're not going to get the quality sleep. We're going to feel groggy, not well rested. Then this whole cycle continues. And unfortunately, it's very tough for a lot of folks to get off this sort of hamster wheel of always being fatigued and struggling with falling asleep, and even when they do, getting quality sleep. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to try this was based on the various articles I've read online. I've heard that if you snore, that's a sign of mild sleep apnea. And I know that I snore. So since I know that, that's probably a sign that I'm not getting the best quality sleep that I could be. I took this opportunity to look further into the whole mouth taping and see if this could help. Going into this, I did have some pretty legitimate concerns. The first and most obvious one was, what happens if I can't breathe with this tape over my mouth? Actually, that was really the only concern. I just thought it would really suck to end up passing that way, and then people having to read through the obituary that he passed away because he put tape on his mouth. And then when I first started doing this, because I did have some of those worries or apprehensions, I decided to be a little bit more fancy with the tape that I got. So I got this tape off Amazon. It's called Somnifix. And the reason I got that was because right in the middle, there's a very small vent, which allows you to breathe just a little bit if you need to. They also seemed like a pretty legitimate company because they were featured on Shark Tank, and Mark Cuban ended up investing in them. That also added some credibility to the company, right? And so I ended up buying a couple boxes. But the thing is with Somnifix, the tape is pretty expensive. And once I got more comfortable with the whole situation, I ended up getting something called 3M micropore tape. You can really buy it anywhere, Walmart, Target, Walgreens, and it's pretty cheap, around $7 or $8 for a roll that lasts you, I would say, close to a month. So what was my first night mouth taping like? Well, again, going to sleep, I had some concerns about whether I was going to wake up alive, but ultimately just decided to trust in the process, fell asleep. And then I didn't remember anything all throughout the night, but when I woke up in the morning, the tape was off my mouth. So at some point throughout the night, I had a difficulty breathing, and I ended up taking off the tape, but I don't even remember that being the case. And then I ended up sticking with the process night after night. And then I noticed from around night 3 onward, I was able to make it the whole night through and wake up with the tape still in my mouth. Just a little background about myself leading up to this. So I've never had any real breathing issues before. I don't have any major medical condition that I'm aware of, no asthma, nothing like that. I've never had a broken nose or any issues breathing through my nose before. I think all these different factors led into and made it a lot easier for me to sleep all throughout the night, breathing only through my nose and not through my mouth. And I just want to throw that caveat out there because I know everybody's coming from different places. Everybody has different experiences in their life. And so I just want to be as transparent as possible about my situation going into this so you can better understand the context for the results that I got. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning is before I did all this in my regular life, I've never really been allergic to anything. I've never had any type of food sensitivities, allergic reactions. And the reason I say that is before I started mouth taping, I watched a ton of videos on YouTube trying to better understand the pros, the cons, get an objective view of this so I could figure out if it's really worth it or not. And I did come across one video where a guy talked about his negative experience with mouth taping. And basically what happened was he used a certain type of tape, and then apparently the adhesive or the glue inside the tape, when that came into contact with his skin, he ended up having like a crazy allergic reaction to the glue in the tape. And that's something I never would have thought of in a million years. In my experience with mouth taping, I've never run into this issue. I've never had any type of allergic reactions. But that being said, everybody's built differently. Everybody has different sensitivities to different things. So that's another thing. I would say it's pretty small, but I would still consider it in the back of your mind if there are certain sensitivities that you have to different types of products out there. All right, so getting to the answer of, is mouth taping really worth it, and does it really improve the quality of your sleep? Well, the short answer is I have no idea. And the reason for that is I don't have a sleep tracking device at the moment, like an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring. These are things I've been looking into for a while and do plan on getting. And then once I do get those, I plan to better track my sleep, play around with some of these variables, maybe adding in mouth taping, taking it out, and just playing around with a lot of the different variables to better understand what I can do to best optimize my sleep. From a data perspective, this is an I don't know, because I don't have any facts or figures from my own personal experience to validate this. Now, from an anecdotal standpoint, I do think it is worth it. I've noticed that the times when I am able to sleep the entire night, where the tape remains on the entire night, the next day I wake up feeling a lot more refreshed and well rested. Now, I don't know if that's just the placebo effect and I'm just convincing myself that I got better sleep because I wake up with the tape on. Who knows, maybe I'm just trying to deep down convince myself that this whole thing is worth it when it's really not. I have no idea, to be honest. But once I do get some of these devices, like an Oura Ring, to help me track my sleep, I'll be able to give you a definitive answer. So in the future, I'll be sure to make an update video talking about that and then using the data from mouth taping so that way we can get a more clear idea. Just because I don't have any data about my personal situation doesn't mean there aren't studies and other things out there in the whole medical research realm talking more about breathing through our nose versus our mouth. But this channel and this video isn't designed to go into specific research studies and get into the nitty-gritty understanding the N of 1 examples. But the good thing about this topic is it seems like it's starting to become more and more mainstream. A couple of great resources that I would suggest for you to check out. Several months ago on the Joe Rogan podcast, there was a guy named James Nestor where he talks in depth about the importance of us breathing through our nose versus our mouth. And he also did an interesting study on himself. That's an episode I'd highly suggest for you to check out. I'd also encourage you to check out an interview between Mike Munsell of High Intensity Health and Dr. Mark Burhenne, where they go really deep into the scientific side of mouth taping and how it's really important, how it impacts our facial structure. It kind of slightly bleeds into this other topic, which you may have heard of or maybe have seen on YouTube before, called mewing. And again, I don't want to go too far off the topic of this, but I'll be sure to link those videos down below to make it easy for you to check out. That basically covers everything when it comes to mouth taping at this point. And if you're still watching, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. But more important than that, it helps spread this message to more people who may be interested in this topic. So that way we can get the information out there and help spread this message and help more people. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. We do put out new videos talking about health and wellness and mindset and really whatever else I feel like talking about. So with that being said, thanks so much for watching and take care.